Today, we are going to answer some questions. This PPP related things are very customized, and as much as we can teach general, but the reality is there's always a special situation that you have. And when Catherine goes to tell the questions, she will not tell who you are, which company you represent. So it will just be a general question so we can answer that for everybody to gain some insight for the webinar. So it is 3:00 p.m. I am so proud of you not falling asleep, not feeling drowsy, and just dialing, hop on Zoom with me. And 3:00 actually is the nap time for many people I know in my life. And my dad actually always take a nap, and 3:00 is kind of the time that he does nap. So I grow up with that kind of seeing him have that kind of habit. So 3:00 is always kind of a quiet, like a little bit of secret time, and you don't have to tell anybody that you didn't work, but you just didn't work, right? So, but today we're here, and we're gonna learn something, not earth-shattering, but hopefully bring some clarity to you. And I am going to use the PowerPoint I prepared to guide my thought, so I don't go off the tangent and tell you something is totally not related. I'm so good at telling you stories, and I love to tell stories. That's why I try to write books. Here, I'm going to share the screen with you, but what you are seeing is actually our website right now. This is our website, and this is all the webinars we have in our system, and you really can come over here, see what you like, and hop on, spend some time with us, okay? And so today's talk is about getting forgiven. Getting forgiven is not, in real life, it is not easy. We know that. And if you made a mistake, someone willing to forgive you, boy, that is amazing. That is once in a blue moon. But to get forgiven by the government for this amount that you received, it's a little easier than once in a blue moon. I trust me, it is easier. And let me introduce myself just in case. I do see a lot of new names coming up, so I suspect that you don't know who I am. And my name is Ying, and I have two things I am kind of proud of myself. Number one is that I serve on a national taxpayer advocacy panel. It is a federal advisory committee to IRS, right? That's kind of cool. A federal committee and to advise IRS. But trust me, there's procedure I go through, just like applying for PPP forgiveness. It's not like I just hop on because I like it, and you have to go through all these background check, front check, back check, left and right. So checking all the way, then they say, oh yes, Ying, please come in. We'd like you to be on this panel. And any ideas related to improve IRS is my business as a member. So send it to me and I will forward that on. And I was asking one IRS employee about where to find the best information to deal with IRS. You know the answer? Says irs.gov. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, the real knowledge is in irs.gov. If you want to be expert with IRS, just do their website. Of course, the second thing about me is the book. I wrote a book. I'm writing my second one, and there's so much stories I need to tell, and otherwise nobody would know, so I just in a hurry to write them. The first book is story of people who start up a business. So the book itself teaches you how to start up a business. And why not? I mean, this COVID-19 had trashed your past history and maybe making your business of the past not so great. And now with a new world, totally new, there will be new opportunities, right? Starting up a business. No responsibility disclaimer, because those content I'm teaching you today is relevant for today. Sometimes the government came up with the new changes to what they said before, and then they even delete that out of their website. I can't even find where I find that before. So it is really kind of important for you to know that, and knowledge have a very strong time stamp on it. So you hear me today and you hear me tomorrow. What I talked about today is pretty good for the PPP, but if there's a big development come up, you know, you see me at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, right? You come back on Thursday, come back on Saturday, I'm always here. All right, now we get into the real stuff, okay? This is the free money the government has given us for the last 8 weeks, since March, since mid-March. And the reason I listed here, because I want you to know that they are not kind of a add together relationship. They actually get rid of each other kind of relationship. What do I mean by that? I'm speaking Chinglish again, and what I mean is, if you get stimulus check, you're good. You don't need to return that money, even if you have all of the other benefits with you. Even though you're on unemployment benefit, you can still get stimulus check. Those don't conflict with each other. However, your EIDL loan application for the 10K advance, those money you got, and they have a relationship with PPP. And the PPP has relationship with retention credit. And these three are working together. You cannot have all three. You have one of them. But it is not exactly, if you have the 10K, you have to pay it back and get PPP. No. They can calculate that together for you. So you may be today got all three. That's very possible. That's okay. No problem. And later on in this slides, I will tell you what you can do. Okay. Unemployment benefit, that one has a conflict with PPP as well. Not at your level as a business owner, but at your employee level. If you have people who are on unemployment, they need to get out of that, come on PPP. If they don't come on PPP, that's okay. We also have a solution. I'll mention that to you later in this session. Local government grants, normally, this is United States of America, and we have a little freedom at the local level. Most of the local government don't consider what you have at the federal level. Okay, so it's not like you got a PPP, then you couldn't get the local, the state, the county grants. So, but be vigilant and be in the known when you get those money, and understand, I don't think you will go to tell your funder goes, well, yeah, I got stimulus check, I got 10K, I got PPP, I got retention. You still want to give me that $25,000? I know you're not going to do that. You don't need to do that. We just need to read what's in the document so you know that how to treat your grants. All right. So this is the overall, all the free money we're talking about. So what we are doing now is to go into just one PPP, forgivable loan. Okay. So what is that really? What is that term means, forgivable? Forgivable loan just means that the money you received as loan, you don't need to pay it back. It is forgiven. It is forgiven, appear to be forgiven by your bank, but no, it is forgiven by the CARES Act and coming through SBA. It is the money you keep. All right. Now, so the core objective for today is to really understand how do we process our money, the money we received, and to the point that it will be forgiven. And our objective is so clear. We're going to do everything we know how to get that money for free. Okay. Of course, we also have clients who got the PPP money, but they're so okay with keeping it for 2 years, only 1% of interest. So they're good with that. They felt like they want to keep it. They don't want to do any of these things to get it forgiven. But I say to you that although it is 1%, although it is a loan you pay back 2 years later, but if you could get that money for free, it is a million times better than you use it than give it back. It's almost like if you want to have your own kid, why do you want to borrow a kid for 2 weeks, 8 weeks, then give it back? If you borrow, you rather keep it as your adopted child, right? So that's how we feel about the money. They're our adopted child. All right, so let's walk the steps. The number 1, spend it all. PPP is not for you to keep. It meant for you to spend it, okay? And spend it how? In what period? The spending, the real spending need to happen from the first day you receive the money all the way to the end of the 8 weeks. So if you got the money on May 1st, then your last day to spend it is June 26th. All right. So it is not May 1st to June 30th. No. To June 31st. No. It is to June 26th. So when we say spend it, spend, and it need to be a past tense. It need to be done. If you're not done, if the check didn't go out, and that's not spent, right? So there are professional organizations like the Bank Association and also AICPA. They're requesting the clarification from Congress on this particular item, because what if you wrote a bunch of paychecks to the people, but they didn't cash it? Do you know that there's some employees, they actually save the paychecks and they want to cash them in one shot? So those people, they don't cash your check, then you never spent it, right? But that's not employer's problem. That's really the recipient's issue, the employee's issue. So there are professional groups that going back to Congress goes, Congress, please reconsider that wording, and can we account that as a spent already as soon as we wrote the check? Okay, so but to say that for today, if your PPP money is done today and you haven't really cashed out all of the money yet, I'd say that you need to do that. Because today there's no new rule come out. You're subject to the old rule. All right. Now, so what are the eligible spending? A lot of you gonna pass this quiz 100% because I talked to you. You answer that question so perfectly. So I know you know it. It is payroll cost, and it is the mortgage obligation only for interest, and it is also rent. It is also utility. Okay, and utility definition, some of you call me, ask for utility definition, and I said, well, I only know that in the olden days, there's just electricity and water. Those are utility. Are you going to include internet as utility? I really don't have a very good answer for you, but the person who will have the master dictionary for that is your banker. Some bank allow you to include utility and also telephone bill, internet bills. They call that utility. But I also see some bank saying clearly just the electricity and water. See, you have a little local government deciding on the rules. So bank is the one will interpret those differently. But payroll cost is straightforward, rent is straightforward, and you want to make sure that you have those money spent. Don't save it, okay? And you, other than those expenditures, the steps to be forgiven is also to prove that those expenses are restoring your business back to what it was before. So that's the whole purpose of Congress. They want to give you 8 weeks of money to say that you act like you're normal. You act like you don't even have COVID-19 in your business. And even though you were ordered to close, but you're gonna pretend you're running normal. So that's the whole intent of this particular loan. So you are going to now document what was your past. You will say that, what do you mean by that? You want me to take a picture of my business in the past? No. What we want you to do is to figure out what was the number of employees you had, number one, and what was the normal wages you would pay, number two. All right, so here on this slide, on the bottom, it says documentation to show the number of headcount and the wage level you had before. I know what you're thinking. You're gonna say, Ying, what do you mean by that? Before what? Before I started business even? No, only 2 periods the Congress give you to benchmark that particular point. One benchmark is in 2019, from February the 15th to the end of June. So they're saying, a business owner, look into that period. Tell me how many employees you had. Tell me how much of a payroll you were making. Then the second period, they also realized that some business changed a lot. Maybe back in 2019, February, they only have 1 location. Then January, February of 2020, right before COVID-19, the business was booming. They had 5 more locations. So they had a lot more people, a lot more expenses. So for that reason, the Congress said that, okay, you can use January and February, just those 2 months. Tell me how many employees you have, and tell me how much wages were you paid. So those become your benchmark.
Ying, we do have a couple of questions.
Sure, go ahead.
One is somebody says, I have not paid myself, but since we don't have enough employees and I'm required to pay, can I pay myself with PPP?
If you are a business owner, shame on you. Why are you not paying yourself? You should. Especially when you received PPP money, you should pay yourself for working and for worrying, right? Don't you think we are worried and we deserve something in our pocket? And that 8 weeks money, it is to prevent you from getting unemployment benefit. But if you're saying that, well, I want to pay myself, but I also want to continue with the unemployment benefit, that is not the way to do it. You need to terminating your unemployment claim. Starting from that day you receive PPP, and you will not claim unemployment benefit. But what you say that, well, Ying, after the 8 weeks, I am still order shelter in place. I still cannot open business. What do you want me to do then? Then you go back to claim unemployment benefit. And it's actually beneficial for you because you save 8 weeks of claim, save it for later when you really needed it. Okay, so I hope I addressed that question. Yes, you should pay yourself. Okay. Catherine.
And if you're a single owner LLC, can you pay yourself more than you got paid last year? What is the maximum you can pay yourself?
The good news is there's no maximum. I am assuming that you're talking about PPP, PPP for paying salary, because when you are a single member LLC, when you fill out the form to apply for PPP, you actually had payroll payroll estimate for yourself. So you need to pay that wages. The least you can pay that, I guess you have to pay that wages, but you can go down by 25%, but you can go up to whatever percent you want. But the government don't allow you to reduce the employee wages below 75%. So you have to keep your wages at the similar level. No reduction more than 25%.
So they can increase the hourly rate to spend PPP money?
Yes. If they have one employee, just himself, and the money is there, then pay yourself fully.
Awesome. And then another person had a question. Will SBA have a form that we have to fill out at our 8-week point?
Oh, the SBA did not have a form for you to fill out to apply for forgiveness. And I know you are referencing to the 2483 SBA form where you applied for PPP. So SBA didn't have a form for you, but SBA will have something for the bank, because the bank is the one who forgive you or not forgive you. So the bank knows what SBA wants, then they add on top of their own administrative procedures in the underwriting field, then they decide on, forgive you or not. You don't fill up the form, but you will sign something. That's on my next slides. Okay. Let's go to my next, and we will answer questions. Don't worry, and Catherine will watch the question come in. We'll make sure that I'm put on the spot to answer. And I'd love to answer your questions, because after spending all this time, if you're still not touching on the key point you want to know, that would not be worth of your investment in time. I want you to come back to our webinars all the time. I have to provide that incentive, right? So now continue with the steps to be forgiven and the documentation verification. And this is what the bank will do. The bank actually, you already documented what's your past, right? We talked about that. And then the bank will get that documentation from you, knowing that, okay, you need to have 10 employees and your wages need to be about $50,000 to $75,000 total. So the bank has an idea. Now you need to prove that you actually spent it. So this is where the verification of the actual the verification of the actual payroll would come in. See, what they're doing is they want you to show them the payroll. So how do normally people know you really made a payroll check and you really did report payroll the way you said you would? The only way to do that is to see your filing with the federal government. That's why they're saying payroll tax filing report. Look at that. They want IRS filing report. You know what? Whatever you give them of your 10-941, the bank has authority to go to IRS to draw the same report and a match to what you have. So this is where we call the internal controls or underwriting procedures. They're verifying your validity of your data. They want to make sure that you're not making something up for them, right? And then they also ask you for state income, payroll, unemployment insurance filing. Very complete and very smart, because we do have to file unemployment benefit for our employees when you pay salary. So the bank wants that, okay? And then, this is so important. Listen to me. Document to prove that the employees are voluntarily not coming back. Why do I say that? Let's say you had 10 employees in the past, and 5 of them on unemployment had such a great time, they don't want to come back to work, even though you say, hey, come back to work, and I have PPP, I'm going to pay you. And they go, no, I have to work. then I'm getting same amount what you pay me, or I'm actually getting even more with unemployment, I'm not coming back. If you have proofs of that decision from your employees, and that particular employee, you don't have to fill up. So let's say you have 10 employees and 5 said that to you, and 5 of them, you have a record. You have them sign a paper. Okay, I voluntarily don't want to come back. And after they signed, and you don't have to have 10 anymore, you can just have 5. And the bank will treat you as met the requirement of the hiring back to the original condition. But then you probably say, what happened to those people who said they don't want to come back? And are they going to go to jail? No. What's going to happen to them is their unemployment benefit will be terminated because they had opportunity to work to come back to get PPP funding and the salary, and they said no to it. Why is the state willing to subsidize? So state will take time to come there, but eventually this is what I called during the recovery time, the audit will be all over the place. So people who had unemployment benefit claimed while they're refusing the PPP, they will end up paying that back. So this is where documentation is so important. Maybe you have just one person doing that to you. That's okay. Then you just do 9, but you have to have proof. Of course, you don't have to put your employee in that position. You can also hire new. If you hire 5 new, you are okay too. And what if you say, I can hire 5, but I'm not gonna pay them the same salary like I paid to the other, my old employee, because they're much more skillful. I'm going to pay less. That is okay, because the government, the Congress understand that when you hire new ones, you don't pay the same wages as you had paid before. So the wages would not become a benchmark for the new employee. So you can pay more, you can pay less. All right. So the next one is, now we got payroll taken care of. Then now the bank will say, well, show me the money did got out of your bank. So you're going to have cancel check, payment receipt, and transcript of accounts that more like the IRS transcript of accounts showing that you paid. And if you have a mortgage interest you're going to pay, you have to show the mortgage statement. If you have a lease obligation, make sure. This is a Ying telling you, go to your landlord, ask your landlord to send you a rent statement with the com fee prorated to the 8 weeks. Because we normally get our property tax and com fee at the end of the year. No, we don't want that at the end of the year this time. We wanted it to come out of PPP so we can maximize our forgiven amount from the bank. So you want to go to your landlord to do that. Let me tell you, your landlord is so familiar with it because you're not the only one asking for it. Everybody is. So make sure you do talk to your landlord, give you that invoice, then you pay it before your funds, before your 8 weeks coming up, okay? Then what else happens? After you supplied all of these, invoice payment, bank transactions, then the bank will give you a certification from the bank to say that the document you presented is true and correct, to say the amount for which forgiveness is requested was used to retain employees, make interest payment, cover mortgage, make payment on the rent and the utility. So all of that stuff will come in for you to sign. You're signing, and with a legal effect, which in a very plain way of Chinglish way of saying means that if you lie, you go to jail. Okay, it's felony charges, and so we need to sign that with a true understanding and a good work behind it. Okay. Of course, the last bullet point, I say that any other document the bank asks, I will tell you folks, sometimes you will hear from your other friend saying that, oh, mine is so easy. I just talked to my banker. I got it all forgiven. It is not like what Ying said, and it takes all these steps. And you know what? If that banker is not have a very detailed underwriting requirement, maybe that could really happen to you. Then I would consider you got really lucky. If you can be forgiven with talking to the banker and they're just like, oh yeah, you're okay, you can go home now. Then you want to shake their hand and maybe you can hug them if COVID-19 is not there anymore, okay? But if you can't, I'm wondering what you can do. And that will be a question to you. And consider you're lucky. But normally, the forgiven part is a responsibility the bank has for SBA, for the government. Most of the bank will do good due diligence to make sure that the amount forgiven is truly the amount. So I would not expect anything less than what I put in here. Because I myself is really a kind of free spirit person. If I can live in the world without compliance, I would be going there to be there first. So I know compliance is work, but this is minimum work. And you walk this path, you will get the forgiven portion of your PPP loan. So I want you to know that. Catherine, questions?
Yes, we have some. So one person says, in our small business, one person's paycheck is coded in QuickBooks as owner draw. Is that correct for administering PPP funds?
Whichever line item that amount is sitting is not big issue. Owner draw in particular under QuickBooks setting is actually equity account. So that doesn't even count as your expense. So I would say that it is the best practice to move that out of owner draw and sitting as a payroll expense, okay? And if that is something that your accountant has never done for you, what I am truly worried is that it didn't become an expense for you. That would not be good. You want your payroll to be your business expense so you can take that out to your 1040 to pay tax. Imagine if it is not expense on your business and then you reported income into your you reported payroll and distribution at the same time for the same amount. That would be truly screwed up accounting, okay? So I say that line item is not important as long as it is a payroll expense, as long as it's paid payroll taxes, you use that for a PPP claim.
Excellent. And then can you use the money towards 401k or bonuses for people?
The answer is yes, yes. And good question. Under the payroll expense, I'm going back to my slides right here, payroll costs. And remember, that includes the following. That includes your gross payroll, all right? Gross payroll is whatever you promised your employee. Say I pay you $3,000 a month. That's your gross payroll. And that also includes the employer portion of Social Security Medicare. That also includes employer health insurance payment. That also includes employer 401k contribution. Or if you have pension going on, that also includes pension expenses. Okay, so payroll cost is every dollar that company paid for employee to enable them to work the way that you designed. So just think of in that way, And if you have other innovative category coming out, give me a call. I will search that for you. Sometimes they call it differently, but they're really in the nature of compensation, like bonus. That's in the nature of compensation. So that is the same as payroll. And maybe I'm imagining maybe paid vacation. That is payroll too. Okay. All right.
So, are payroll taxes covered in PPP?
Payroll taxes, such a great question. There are 3 types of payroll taxes, and my interpretation, yes, it's covered. Let me tell you which 3. Social Security, that is paid by the employer. I did not say Social Security that you withheld from the paycheck, right? So it is employer side of expense. Then Medicare, paid by employer. And unemployment benefit, paid by the employer. So they are part of payroll expenses. Of course, I can imagine that your banker comes around, they had a different underwriting. Through the PPP application, I have learned every bank interpreted that differently. But if you have a good argument, and I actually got on the phone talking to several of the banks and persuading, I didn't get paid, but persuading to them that this should be payroll expenses, and at least 1 out of the 3 took what I said. So I'm not always very, persuasive. Some people don't think I make sense, because especially with my Chinglish, and there's only special people understands me, people like you, but there are people don't understand my English. Oh, by the way, I spell English as a Ying Lish. English. That's Dr. Frank's idea. All right. So next question, Catherine.
Okay. If they have the PPP, but one of their employees is on the Emergency Family and Medical Leave Expansion Act, how do we need to track the money or account it appropriately so that the retention credits for the EFMLEA is upheld, but that PPP can also be managed appropriately?
Okay. This is rather on the complicated side of retention credit. So there is 3 types of retention credit. I assume yours is the sick leave kind of retention credit, and that is your payroll expense. You can add that into your PPP. However, there is another one retention credit related to the sales drop that you can save your 941. That is not included. You can't have both. So I would recommend you to actually take that offline and to really consult the payroll company that you work with, and or you can come to our firm and I will help you. And that particular credit and need to be really fitting into kind of like a sick leave benefit. It cannot be because of the sales drop. So you have a retention credit, but they're all belonging to a retention credit category. So it deserves a very special look to make sure. But the good news is not in the hurry. You are not in the timeline to have to come up with that reasoning right now. You have literally to July 1st to sort that out. And the Congress is working on solution, because you are not the first one with this fine line of needing clarification, but it was not there. But just from, I sometimes interpreting the intention of the regulations with a very heavy dose of humanity. So my interpretation can very much be on the humanity side, wanting to be reasonable, but then turn out to be that, you're just too general, and it's not like that. It's not allowed. It's very possible. But that decision in detail is being made as we are speaking right now. So I'm pretty sure it will come out with a much clearer guidelines for you. No rush. You have to July 1st to really know what to do. But my interpretation is that's not conflict with PPP.
Okay, so a question. Somebody asked, as a sole proprietor, is it better to pay yourself more or pay utilities?
Better to pay yourself more on what?
Better to pay yourself more from PPP or pay your utilities with that fund?
Oh, that is such a great question. I would need to see how much PPP amount you got. So maybe you haven't even received that. You are thinking of applying. That's why you are asking that question. Then I would want to know that what was your profit for 2019. Let's say if you tell me your profit is a loss and you don't have profit, but you have your utility amount is 500, let's say. And because you don't have a profit in 2019, so when you apply for PPP, you need to demonstrate your January, February, you actually have profit. You're actually going to pay yourself more than 500 in order to be worth of applying for PPP. If you never received the PPP, you don't have the utility written off, that kind of thing. So you really need to get your PPP, then you compare. And I would say that you pay to your salary first, because let's say you didn't pay yourself at all. You're just going to use PPP for utility and it will be disallowed because remember the utility can only be 25% of your payment to the wages. So the PPP is really to pay wages, not to pay utility, but by the way, can pay utility.
Okay, and then I have a couple of questions regarding how to show proof. So is direct transfer okay instead of canceled check as proof of payment? And can you transfer money from your business account to your personal account for payment of salary?
Yes. The answer is yes, you can, but it's not the best way to do it. I am not saying that you cannot prove. You could prove that money was paid to your personal bank account as your salary, but it is just not. There is an old Chinese saying goes, you don't fix your shoes in the watermelon field, and you don't fix your hat under the peach tree. It's not that you fix your hat, you're stealing the peaches, but if you know that they want to see you paid for salary, but when you transfer, it makes people think that you're just transferring money whatever you want. You're not really, you're not at all trying to prove that you're spending it by the regulation. So I like to really behave when I deal with government money. So if they say you need to write a check, on the memo say I love you, then I would do that. I don't care I love them or not. I just gonna write I love you, and because that's what government want. And you want to do what they want to see, not that we're trying to suck up, we're just trying to not having problems, right? So I say yes, you can transfer, but I also say, what's wrong with you? Why can't you just write a check, say on the memo, say payroll? Is that really that hard? No, right? So just follow what I recommended. I come through a lot of audit, a lot of compliance. I'm doing audit for schools and the small cities. And so I really understand when you work with government money and the flexibility, the creativity should be smartened a little bit. You want to do what they want you to do. That's it. Okay.
All right. And then are we allowed to hire a bigger number of employees, such as before February 5th, regardless of industry, and then let them go after the eight weeks?
Well, what can you do if after 8 weeks and your business is still down and the government is still not lifting up the restrictions, you still cannot functioning fully, And you know, the business is business. If you cannot afford, after 8 weeks, everybody goes back on unemployment. That's what it is. Okay. Hopefully, and the government was planning everything to come back in July. So that's why this whole thing is kind of ended on at the end of June. I say that we will, right now, yes, you can let go of everybody after this if your business is not good. But at the same time, we know there's more things coming up. The government is giving more guidelines related to that. But one thing we know for sure, government cannot force entrepreneurs, businesses, private business to stay on regardless. They cannot. And this is a free economy. If we can't sustain, we don't have any other way but shut. So knowing that, but this 8 weeks is what the government wants you to pay salary regardless you're open or not. Okay? All right. Let's go to, I need to watch our time, my dear. And I want to go through these key understandings related to PPP. I have 4 excellent examples for you. And they're not hard, they're easy. But once I go through the example, you will know exactly how to calculate yours. And our goal for the webinar is to still, for it to be able to do that by yourself. And we only gonna work with those who are just don't want to do it themselves. They want to be our babies, and we take care of you. Okay. Here, key understandings. Date of your receiving the PPP, let's say is May 1st. And that is a very important date because you calculate 8 weeks to June 26, 2020. And when you receive the PPP funds, we recommend you to use payroll account or have a separate account. But of course, if you just have one account and the bank sends you a check, that's okay. It's not the end of the world, but remember, just make sure your documentation is really complete and you're gonna write a check on the memo, say I love you, but don't transfer the funds, okay? And by June 30th, and then the other key things, so 8 weeks we know, those are the record keeping period. And by June 30th, the government says that by June 30th, we expect you to restore your employment. By June 30th means before June 30th. And to restore 2 things. Number 1 is headcount. Number 2 is wages. You saw that I highlighted there, right? And headcount, you use January to February 2020, or you use February the 15th, 2019 to June 30th, 2019. That's an employee numbers, there's only 2 periods. You say, whoa, January, February, I got sick, I didn't do anything. And February 15th to June 30th, I got sick, I didn't do anything. I don't have that period. Then that's too bad. You have to have, okay? So those are the 2 periods they allow you to have. They allow you to use. Then, if your employee refused to come back, as long as you have proofs, that headcount you do not need to fulfill. You heard me, right? So, but you have to have a count. But if this person don't want to come back, they also don't give you any proof, then hopefully you can hire someone, right? So you have that head count. 30 hours per week is as full-time. So let's say you have 10 employees, but there's 3 of them work part-time. Each one of them only work 10 hours a week. That means you don't have 10 employees. You only have 8. Because the 3 people, it is 10 hours each, that add up to be 1 employee. So you have 7 full-time plus 3 part-time. Your 3 part-time equal to 1, so you only have 8. So let's say everybody came back. Just this 3 part-time, they don't want to come back because they get more unemployment benefit with the government. And you need to find 1 person. and your son happened to graduate from Iowa State University, of course, there's no graduation ceremony, and he is bombarded, and he didn't find a job, nobody hired. So you say, okay, son, come over, work for me, and I will pay you this salary. And you hire him as a full-time. And that replaced the 3 part-time, right? A good example, and make you think. And salary level, wages level to be restored as long as it is no more than 25%. No, as long as it is no less than 20%. Make sure I change my slides, okay? And if I don't change my slides, and you send me a nasty message and tell me to do that. I think I did this mistake for a couple of times already. What that means is, let's say you paid someone $100 a month. And with the COVID-19 business slow, when you bring them back, you decided to pay $75, not $100. That is allowed. You're okay. Okay? But if you decided to pay for $74, that's not okay, because it is more than 25% reduction. Okay? Now, you application for forgiveness, please don't forget to apply. And you think the bank gonna go after you, goes, oh yeah, I want to give you free money, please come over. No, why? They have too many people to work with, okay? And especially the small business owners, and most of people got PPP later on the second round. On the second round, they're all small banks, nonprofit who are helping those small businesses, and they don't have a lot of big workforce. They are very busy when you come back, and they may not even have a good system to know that, when you need to apply. So you really need to be vigilant. You need to be responsible for your own application, okay? So now I'm going through 4 examples, and I will, once I finish the example, and I'll come back to take questions. Example A. So this person received $100,000 on May 15 and spent June 10, spent it all, and restored the number of employee, and also apply for on June 1st for the forgiveness of loan. So in here, the math goes this way. During the 8 weeks, paid out total wages $78,000. Rent utility was $22,000. 78 plus 22 is $100,000. So on July 1st, it applies for $100,000 because it is restored the number of employee already, and that 78 is totally more than 75% of total loan that they applied, so they qualify for it. Look, at the end of the year, they get a 1099-C for $100,000. Then the tax preparer will know to exempt that amount from income. All of our people we know, and other people should. If they don't, you just come to community CPA, and that get exempt, so you don't pay income tax on that. Okay, so that's our example A. So simple, right? Example B. It is literally the same, except this person got a 10K loan advance from EIDL. Look at the calculation. So forgiveness, 100,000, you apply, and then there is a section ask you, did you receive loan advance? You say yes. How much? 10,000. So 100,000 minus 10,000. So your forgiveness is only 90,000, not 100,000. So if you borrowed 100,000, that 10,000 left over, you need to pay it back to the bank. Got it? So that is how the 10K works. Remember in the very beginning, I have those free money. I said the 10K is actually sort of work with PPP. This is where I give you that example. Okay. C. This one is interesting. Look at it restored. That line, 5 out of 10 employees, 5 of the employees decided to not coming back and written a note to say that they refuse to come back. All right, Perfect. And you don't have to restore all of the 10. And so your payroll, of course, went down because you don't have the people. So you don't have $75,000 to pay. You paid $50,000. And your rent is still $22,000. But not all the 22 can be deducted now. Okay? Only 16,700 can, because your 50,000 payroll, and if you divide that number by 3, because that's your 75%, your rent side is only can take 25%. So I divided 50 by 3, I have 16,700. So total qualified PPP amount for forgiveness is 66,700. Restored the full number of employees during the 8 weeks. Yes, I am considered restored all the employees. So I qualify. And then on July 1st, to apply for forgiveness of the loan, and $33,300 is the loan with 1% of interest and a 2-year term that you need to pay back. But your 66,700, yours. You don't have to pay back. So you got 1099-C for 66,700, and yeah, you pay back 33,300 because you don't have a payroll for that. All right. But whatever you spend, you see, you still got that. And of course, you sacrificed a little bit on the utility because you didn't really pay enough payroll as you budgeted. So example D. And this example says that 50%, you got 10 people, right? The 5 didn't come back, but you just don't want them to come back. You only just had a 50%. In this case, you 66,700 will have to be divided by 2 because your number of employees only 50%. So your forgivable portion is 33,350 because that is coming from 66,700 divided by 2 equals to 33,350. So your 33,350 is free, but your 66,650 is the loan that you borrowed. Now you're gonna get an amortization schedule from the bank. The bank gonna say that please pay this and until the end of the 2nd year, and you will pay it off. So this is how the 4 examples went. Now, are you feeling overwhelmed? Or you're so clear, you're just ready to celebrate? I will tell you, the PPP is designed to be simple. So they're really not complicated. But some people, you know, some of us, we choose what to do, what not to do. Just like I am very good at cleaning. I'm telling you, when I want to clean something, is really, really good. But I choose not to do it. It doesn't mean I don't know how to do it. So same thing. If you choose not to do it, your banker can do it. Let me tell you a secret. This money, the bank is underwriting. The SBA actually paying bank 5% on the amount you get to help them to manage their expense so they can service you without charging you. And when they underwrite, when they do this forgiveness of loan, the bank has no risk because if you happen don't pay it back and you just filed bankruptcy, you're done, and the bank is not out. The SBA will pay the bank. So the SBA already give the money to you. The SBA will say the bank, you don't out anything. So the bank is really there to help you. And I don't want you to feel guilty about it because they get paid. They are designed to be in this big system to help you. And come to our website to check on the webinar copy. Like today's webinar, if you think somewhere I was talking, you didn't get it, want to go back to listen, and you can go to our website to see that. Our website is communitycpa.com. We have all our webinar history in there. And or you just give our firm a call and we will do it for you. I know we don't do these work for free, and we are always here for you. I always call ourselves as a safety net. When you couldn't hold on to the branch anymore, and you're dangling, you're falling, and we're the safety net to help you when we catch you and we baby you, so you don't have to worry about anything. So before I close, I do want to answer some questions, and this is my last slides, which tells you where to go for the webinar and tells you to email Catherine at communitycpa.com. And even though our physical office is not open, but we are all remote. We are working normal, Monday to Saturday, 6 days a week from 8:30 to 5:30. So that's kind of a little plug for Community CPA. We deserve it. We really do. Okay, Catherine, questions?
Yes, okay. So do you recommend that when they apply for PPP for payroll, rents, utilities, that they do not show those in their normal expense and liability accounts, and then also balance statements?
Okay, so I think I understood your question this way. Whether to charge the expenses to the liability account or to leave it as regular expense. Do you think I understood that question this way, right?
I think so, yes.
Okay, let me just briefly say the accounting for PPP. That money you receive on the PPP, you should book them on liability. So that's credit, right? Not income. You're going to credit the liability. You're going to debit the bank. So when you spend anything related to PPP, you should reverse your liability. However, if you don't do general ledger and what I said to you make you sick, and don't worry, you just put PPP on your bank, treat it like your money. And whenever you have expenses against it, just mark them, highlight them, and go pull out the original source data like the rent, invoice and stuff like that, and against it. So that way you can give that same thing to the bank. You know, accountants are annoying. They always talk about credit and debit, but it is useful for accountant. It's not useful for anybody else. Yeah. I hope accountants still love me. Okay, what else?
Okay, so there are several questions about the necessity of opening a separate bank account versus either withdrawing it to a personal account or using the same account. What are your thoughts on that?
Some bank require you to open a separate account. So if your bank didn't ask for that, you can do whatever you want, literally. The only important thing is you need to account how you spent that money. That's all. And I put that in the payroll account because most of the money is for payroll. So it's easier for the payroll run, so you don't have to bounce your check when you run payroll. So that's why I recommend that to be in the payroll account.
All right, and then somebody asked if they need to terminate a position during PPP time period, what impact will it have to their obligations to maintain the number of full-time employees?
So your voice went out at the end, so I didn't hear what you were saying. The last part of it sounded like you were saying if they terminated someone during the 8 weeks time. Is that correct?
Correct.
And if you terminated someone, if this one person is part of your number from the history, let's say from the history was 10 people, you terminated one, so you become a 9, and that will reduce your PPP eligibility by 10%, right? Because one out of 10 is 10%. But you could easily replace with someone. Make sure but you have to replace with a person. You cannot say that, oh, I will make 2 other people work more, so they are like, 2 of them equals to 3 employees. No, that doesn't work. So you do have to have another social security number to come in.
Excellent. And then one last question. The simplified employee pension, IRA, can we use the PPP for that?
3%. That is the company match. You do not want, because the employee deferral is not employer paid. Employer only pays for the match. That's the 3%. Yes, you can do that. All right. Then we conclude today's webinar. I hope it is really helpful to you. And if you like my webinar, you know that I have them on YouTube. Please say good things for my webinar, and hopefully we will talk more. And I really wish that this is a webinar that you considered to not wasted a second of your time. We got good information going, and you know, my Chinglish is just one universal language that everybody understands. I will see you again on Thursday. Oh, on Thursday topic, I am partnering with a gentleman who is in stock market trading end of business, and he is talking about how to make money. I am going to talk about how to save money. So we're on two complete separate spectrum, but we made it one seminar. Hopefully it's fun and worth listening. I'll talk to you. Bye-bye.